Hi there, movie lovers. It's Independence Day for us Yanks. So here's my top 10 favorite patriotic movies. But before we get started, these are not in any particular order. Just me ranting for a while about 10 movies that I like that happen to be sort of patriotic. So if that's your cup of tea, feel free to leave me a like. Now, let's start off with an easy one. It's the inspiration for every World War II video game beginning, Saving Private Ryan. This movie, directed by Steven Spielberg, followed the beloved Tom Hanks playing Captain John Miller, who was ordered to trips across France to find the last remaining Ryan brother, Private Ryan, played by Matt Damon. It hits all the World War II vibes. Heck, it became the new World War II vibe, and it caused Steven Spielberg to make the critically acclaimed HBO series Band of Brothers. Next, we have Glory. This movie depicts the Civil War from the point of view of the first all-black volunteer company in the U.S. Army. Directed by Edward Zwick, it stars Denzel Washington and Morgan Freeman as Private Tripp and Sergeant Major John Rawlins, soldiers led by Matthew Broderick and Carrie Elwes as Colonel Robert Gould Shaw and Major Cabot Forbes, possibly the future founder of the Finance magazine? Nope, I guess not. Speaking of Denzel Washington, next we have Courage Under Fire, also starring him, and it was also equally directed by Edward Zwick. Yay, buddies! They also worked together on The Siege, but that's more of an unpatriotic movie, I guess? Let me know what you think about that one. But Courage Under Fire is about Nat Serling, a U.S. Army officer who's coming to terms with his fatal mistake when he accidentally fired upon a friendly tank. He also is investigating a chopper commander who is up for the Congressional Medal of Honor, played by Meg Ryan. Air Force One is an obvious choice. It could almost be a Jack Ryan movie. Directed by Wolfgang Peterson, it stars Harrison Ford, who plays President James Marshall, who is flying home from Russia on Air Force One when his plane gets hijacked by Gary Oldman. He kicks butt and die-hards his way out of that one. And speaking of favorite movie presidents, The American President is one of my favorite movies in general. Directed by Rob Reiner, this second film that led to The West Wing starred Michael Douglas as President Andrew Shepard, along with his Chief of Staff AJ, played by the future President Bartlett, Martin Sheen. They are working to get him reelected, while the President falls in love with Sydney Ellen Wade, played by Annette Bening. Next, we have Pearl Harbor. Just kidding. That movie was a hot mess. But Rocky IV could hardly be any more patriotic of a film. Sylvester Stallone both starred and directed in this film as Rocky Balboa, the underdog boxer champion of 3 movies prior. This time he had to serve his country by fighting against Russian boxer Ivan Drago, played by Dolph Lundgren, who's, as I've mentioned in a previous video, has a master's in chemical engineering and received a Fulbright scholarship to MIT before he decided to switch careers and pursue acting. This next film is also about some unknown geniuses. Hidden Figures shone the light on previously unsung heroes on the mission to the moon. Directed by Theodore Melfi, it starred Taraji P. Henson, Octavia Spencer, and Janelle Monáe as human calculators. NASA looked into the untapped resource of African-American women who handled the many calculations that it took to get the conditions just right for space flight back then. This movie firmly planted Katherine Johnson, Dorothy Vaughan, and Mary Jackson in the books as American heroes. Speaking of space travel, Apollo 13 was a Ron Howard-directed film about 3 astronauts who no one bothered to worry about on their mission to the moon until a tragedy occurred and they weren't sure if they could make it home. Tom Hanks, Kevin Bacon, and Bill Paxton portrayed the 3 astronauts as they worked with only the supplies they had on their tiny spacecraft to repair the systems and survive the perilous journey. The Vietnam War has been portrayed many times with Platoon, Rambo, Apocalypse Now, and Kong Skull Island. The one that touched my heart the most is We Were Soldiers. Directed by Randall Wallace, this starred Mel Gibson as Lieutenant Colonel Hal Moore, who led the 1st Battalion 7 Cavalry Regiment 1st Cavalry Division into battle against overwhelming odds at Ia Drang Valley in Vietnam in 1965. There were tons of great actors in this film, as it followed several characters that fought bravely and their loved ones back home as they wait for their return. And lastly, this entry will seem as an odd choice as I snubbed Pearl Harbor, but I ask you, who was more patriotic than the fictional character Captain America? So Captain America, the Winter Soldier, gets added here at the end. It's directed by Anthony and Joe Russo and cemented their place as Marvel blockbuster directors. It stars Chris Evans as Steve Rogers, who is trying to find his place back in the world as he already sacrificed himself once to save his country from crazy Nazis in World War II. He finds out that S.H.I.E.L.D., the secret government agency protecting the world from spooky stuff, isn't what he first thought it was and has to fight to protect his country from itself. So maybe if I'm including this, I should have included The Siege. But hey, bygones. So what did you think about these films? There are plenty of other patriotic movies out there, but these are the ones that I personally like the most. Which ones do you like? Which ones do you hate? But that's your thing. Let me know below. For now, I'm Mr. Movie Lover, and I'll be back real soon. Bye!